I started watching Fallout and Dog. I haven't done I've done like a little research into Dog, but I haven't done enough research to get her name. But Dog is doing great. I hope Dog stays alive for all the episodes. I'm only on episode 4, I think. Love Dog. Love everything Dog does. Big fan of Dog. Dog is a star. Dog was born to be a star. Um, and it's good for Zach Cherry. Like I love when like the things that I like love like the people involved with them when I see that they're like employed when they're not working on that. Specifically, I like seeing Zach Cherry in Fallout knowing that he's being employed while he's not working on Severance. Even though Severance is art and I'm excited for it to come back and it's amazing and it's spectacular and I can't wait for season 2. I'm like I don't know. I don't know what like okay, the thing that annoys me about Fallout, like this is just and and it's a note for both the video game and the TV series because it's like why does do they live in a place where like the music has now evolved past the 50s? Like I get the idea of like living the Fallout share. One thing I don't get about Fallout is the music. Like I get that it like stopped in the 50s. But I think like there's a really like fun opportunity to kind of like have it evolve past the 50s jazz. Um Brian David Gilbert did a good video on it, but like more specifically like taking jazz back to like the folk roots, if there are folk roots. I don't think maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe, but like folk jazz, that would be like interesting. Kind of like how in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, it's like more acoustic. And like, I get it that like you're listening to the radio and like well, like the soundtrack is supplied by the people who built like the shelters, the the Fallout shelters. Um, but I don't know. It could have been interesting to have the music evolve with the times, and kind of see what new genre of music would have come out of that. Because something I wish like more post-apocalyptic media would explore is like the idea of how like art changes with tragedy and how like international tragedy affects art movements, like and how Dadaism came out of like World War I and how like I don't know what other movements came out of other bad stuff, but just like the idea of like any Irish poet coming out of the potato famine. And but I guess through the story being told, the story itself is a thing that is the art that the story itself is the story itself is the art that prevails through the darkness, which is interesting. But like I guess I just like the idea of like because like in The Last of Us, the various soundtracks that accompany the various soundtracks that are vital to the story, um come from the 70s and the 80s, and a time before bad stuff happened. Well, a time before the big collapse of society happened. And I guess what I'm saying is just like music is encapsulates like a very specific moment. But I feel like with the jazz music we hear in the Fallout TV series specifically, it feels like it encapsulates a moment. It encapsulates a moment that like I can't relate to. Like, I never. I mean, I as a kid, you'd think about like nuclear annihilation. As a kid, you'd think of nuclear annihilation like sometimes. But for me personally, it didn't like linger. And just the idea of like taking all this music from the time where people were scared of that kind of like makes me think like I don't like that's not a real fear that I can relate to. But there's like a lot of other stuff in Fallout, a lot of other allegories that I can relate to. That like keep me invested in the story. And yeah, I can't wait to see where it goes next.